How's it going, guys? My name is Richard Bama. I'm doing a Russian campaign video for you guys today. Going to take a look at a five-turn scenario, a game I did with Tom Gregorio a few months ago. I'll go over a Russian setup and then give you a turn-by-turn play-by-play and some basic strategy insights that you might want to know about if you're looking to play the five-turn scenario. So here I have the Russian setup. I'm just give you a brief overview, starting in the Finland district. Usually I have like this, but some people don't like to have the potential to kill this guy and have these guys retreat forward. So that's why, in this game at least, I try to do that. Now the disadvantage of this is this 3-4 can go, or any unit can go just run around out here and get the rear, but Swamp, it would take some time for it to really cut the rail back here. So in the Baltic, I like to spread it out a little bit, have an army on each of these hexes to kind of give the Western District a little bit of help. And leading to the Western District, I'm going to go over the Canals corridor. We have here, in a normal setup, you might have something like this where if you have three successive units and the Germans could potentially overrun each one with an automatic victory in succession with a Stuka, with the center troops, leading anybody else stacked behind them in terms of tanks to get out to here and then second impulse all the way out to here on the end of the first turn. So this makes it very difficult for the Russians to defend the north. Given the automatic victory from Moscow, it makes it very difficult for the Russians to, regardless of what happens in the south. Any combination of units where the Germans can clear a path for units to run through out here on the first turn is bad news. So, in general, the Russians want to prevent the Canals corridor from being overrun. And that way they don't have to worry about Moscow falling quite as quickly. In the center here, I have a couple of units in woods hexes. I'm looking to get a DR result that will turn into a contact in the woods. It's unlikely to happen, but if it does, it really gums the Germans up and can really limit their penetration in the north. In the south here, I have, in the Kiev district, I have 3 units on rails. I'm looking to get these guys out of here by rail if possible on the first turn, so it kind of puts a little bit of pressure on the Germans to block the rails up here more towards the south, because you're still getting to Brest, but especially this rail line is a little hard to get to. So if the Germans don't attack or at least cut off these guys or get next to them, they'll be able to rail away out of this pocket. The main German thrust comes through the Odessa military district, attempts to break the bug if possible and go after these cities. Generally, there are more victory points in the south than in the north, especially the major victory point cities that are worth 2 each instead of 1. So it's critical for the Russians to defend the south and not let the Germans get too much penetration there. I'll briefly talk about the Odessa military district. This setup here is fairly standard. It's designed to limit how far other units can get outside the Romanian army district down here. For example, in a standard, maybe a longer scenario setup, you might see something like this from the Russians. The Germans, one popular way to attack it would be to bring those 12 to 6, 2 to 1, raised to 5 to 1 with the Stuka, and proceed to blow these guys away. Now, if that happens, if the Russians set up like that, then the first impulse, panzers from other army groups can move up to here. Then with enough, these guys get knocked away, they can overrun here with 40 factors and then get a unit across the bug on turn 1, which is really painful, especially near the coast for the Russians. This opens up all sorts of axes of advance for the Germans that they can get into all these major cities back here. So generally a good idea to prevent that from happening by pushing up your units towards the front. And although the Russians have a 3 in the front that can be overrun. If they do that, it requires 21 factors and a Stuka, and these two units, the 5-3 and the 3-7, will be left to deal with on the second impulse, which really eliminates penetration towards the upper bug around these guys. So it makes it a hard time for the Germans in that event. So that's the basic setup for the Russians. Shortly here I'll get into the German attack, show you what Tom had in store for me. So we'll see German attack from Tom momentarily and update you in part 2. Feel free to subscribe and learn more about Avalon Hill Classics, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.